All right. Today we're learning in Yaakov, the Gemara Maseches Sukkah. It's Daf Chof Ches Amud Aleph. Ton Rabbanon. Shmoinim talmidim hoyulo Hillel Hazaken. Hillel Hazaken had 80 talmidim. Shlishim mehem ru'uyim shetishra shchina alayim. 30 of them, they were so great. They were in that level that the ru'uyim, they were eligible that shchina should rest upon them. K'moshe Rabbeinu. 30 of them. Shloishim mehem ru'uyim shtamod lam chamo ki Yeshua benun. 30 of them were so great they were able to stop the sun, like Yeshua ben Nun did by the war. He stopped Doim Hashemesh Begivon. 30 of them were able to do what Yeshua did. So left 20. The Esrim mehem beinanim. The 20 of them were average of such a people. Average of such a people. It's a beinanim. Yeah. Godol shebekulam, the greatest Talmud of all of them, Yonasan ben Uziel, that's the one we have, the Pirush and the Tanakh and the Torah. The Kotan shebekulam, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. The smallest Talmud of Hillel Hazaken is Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai.
He's the smallest.
He's the smallest among them. Omru Olav al Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. That's the small Talmud. Shalohiniach, Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud. It was not he knew all, whatever, the Tanakh, 24 Sforim of Tanakh, Mikra, Mishnah, Talmud, Halachas, Vagodas, Digduke Torah, Digduke Soifrim, Kalas, V'chamuras, Ugezeres Shovas, Tukufos, V'gematrios, Sichas Maloche Ashoras, the language of the angel, V'sichas Shadim, the language of the demons, V'sichas Dekolim, the language of trees. It's the
language of trees. He was the eighth. He was the lowest.
He was the lowest. So it says brought from Sefer HaOruch. There's a whole chokhmah over there. When there's no wind, people that know the chokhmah, they see that the trees communicating. There's a language over there, and he knew that language, what they're communicating. Masholas Koifsim, Masholas Sholim. When Chazal gave us some examples, analogies, they gave it through the laundryman, or the fox. All this Masholim that were out there, he knew them all, meaning Dover Cotton v'Dover Godel, small, big, he knew all. Dover Godel, Meisim Merkava, Dover Godel, Meisim Merkava, basically what the Gemara in Chagiga tried to describe, and what it says in Novi Shai, Novi Yecheskel, the Sodom Merkava, the chariot, that's Dover Godel. Dover Cotton, Havayis, the Abai V'Rava. What we discuss in the Gemara, Abai V'Rava, for Rabbi Yochanan it's a small thing. Even though Rabbi Yochanan was way before Abai V'Rava, the idea is something Talmud is Amoraim. The idea is he knew all the discussions, all the arguments. For him it was a small thing, and the reason the Mefarshim explained for him Abai V'Rava, for us it's a big thing. Abai V'Rava, that's the whole Talmud Bavli. It's full of Abai V'Rava, every page almost. But him was so clear for him, a lot of the arguments was already resolved before the argument starts. So for him it was all, that's the smallest Talmud of Hillel Hazaken, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, he knew all this. L'kayim mashanemar l'handchil oyhava yesh v'etzrosoyim amal. The Pashas were learning this posuk as a reward for Olam Haba. That's meaning of here also, they're full of Torah, full of Chochmah, their treasures. Even the biggest treasure at your mind, where you store your information, it was full. The Gemara says cotton shebekulam kach. If that's the Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, what could be greater than that? I mean, the guy knows everything really. Yeah. There's nothing he doesn't know. Godol shebekulam alachas kama v'kama. How much more the greatest talmidim? How greater than that they were. Amru Olav Yonasan ben Uziel, that the greatest talmid. Shebashor yoshev oisek b'Torah, when he would learn in Torah. Kol oif shepereach ba'avir miyad nisraf. Any bird would fly over his head would get burned out from the holiness of the Torah. Some saying Meforshim over here. So what would happen if the Rebbe, the Hillel Hazaken, would learn Torah? What would happen? So some, I think the Ritva, I think some answer that by they bring this they bring over here. Yeah, from the Ritva that. By the Rabbi Yonasan ben Uziel, the bird would have to go in his Arba Amas, in his Dalat Amas. By Hillel, even above Dalat Amas, was great that the bird would be burned. So there's two ways to learn this. Some people learn this, look, wow, such a holy people. There's such a holiness, and they're learning. It's mamish fire over there, the bird flying over them getting burned. And some learn that they say, is he mechuyev to pay for that bird? That he is a mazik? It depends how you learn this. Okay. Now, but there's another pirush, a beautiful bit that I'd like to share with you, and that we could see maybe a little bit shaychus to Sukoos over here. It's in Masechah Sukkah, there's shaychus to Sukoos. He brings, the Yad Yosef brings over here, says this whole idea, oifa parech ba'avir miyad nisrav, the bird was flying over his head, was burning. He says, it's just an analogy to say, the oifa parech represents in your chokhmah, in your knowledge, sometimes come to you ideas that's flying up, and you have some having doubts what's the right way. He says miyad nisraf, his koyach haseichel was so strong, any doubt he would resolve immediately. Miyad nisraf, that flying some idea that maybe this, he would resolve it. His koyach haseichel was so strong, miyad nisraf, any doubts he would burn, meaning he would resolve them immediately. That's how the Yad Yosef brings some pirush kadmonim from the Baal Derech Emunah. Anyway, according to this, we could say also it's brought in Chassidus that we all know every person who learned this about already. He has nefesh elokis, nefesh abamis, godly soul, an animalistic soul. Within the animalistic soul, it says in Chassidus, we could divide this often kloli, generally to three levels. You have in the nefesh abamis, you have the wild animal, nefesh abamis, and you got the domestic animal, and you got the bird. So the wild animal is the lowest part of the body. That's the wild animal. The middle part of the body, where the heart is, that's the domestic animal. Where the heart, the midas are. The bird, the flying bird, this is your seichel, chokhmah bin vadas. It could fly up very, very high and could go to some ideas, to some, who knows where it could fly to. So it says like this, and how you deal with those three parts of nefesh habayis, that different ways. We'll start with the middle, with the domestic animal. Domestic animal, it's a cow. If you don't want the cow to run away from you, you build a fence. It doesn't have to be a super big, strong fence. The cow cannot jump over it, and that's it. You have it safe. The nefesh habayis is in a safe zone that cannot go away from the fence you build around the cow. Then you have a wild animal that could jump. They're strong. They could jump higher. You need to build a stronger fence, a taller one, a bigger one. This way they cannot jump over it. But then for the bird, that's thinking of chokhmah. You cannot build a big, strong fence. They're going to fly over it. What you need to do for them to make sure they're in a safe zone, you need to buy a roof over them. Make sure to put a roof. So that's the chokhmah. The chokhmah mitzad echad, that's more edel than the wild animal, the animalistic, the domestic animal. But that's dangerous because it could fly to no-fly zone. Could go with ideas with the wrong philosophy. Could go to some places. It's like you have no business being there. Like in Ma'aser Merkava, we're just learning. It says some things you're not allowed to think about. That's above you. You have to. So what's over there? How you deal with that? With those bad, wrong ideas, wrong chokhmas. So it says you have to build a roof over it. What's the roof? The roof, it's the emunah. The emunah. The chokhmah bin vadas. It's the intellect. Above, there is something above the chokhmah bin vadas, and that's the emunah. By the way, by us, where we have the yarmulke, the hat, above the chokhmah bin vadas. And meaning, I have chokhmah bin vadas, you have chokhmah bin vadas. There is something above it that represents emunah. I have something I don't understand, something I have to just listen and obey the rules. And this is exactly what the sukkah is all about. The sukkah, it says in Gemara, the sukkah mainly what's called al shem aschach, kruyas sukkah. Not the walls. The walls is important. But the most important thing is this al shem aschach, kruyas sukkah. And Taka the Zohar calls the sukkah tzila de memunusa. It's called the shade or the shadow, the shade of the emunah, meaning why that's have to do with tzila de memunusa. That's the whole idea. Because no matter how smart you are, even Shlomo HaMelech, certain things, amarti echkem av yerechoikem emeni. You try to understand with this chokhmah, the greatest chokhmah on earth. The Indian of Parah Adum says, rechoikem emeni, it's far away from me. It's something I have to realize. It's above me. I just have to have emunah over there. So that's what we're saying over here by Yonasan ben Uziel. Kol ha'oif sheporach olav. Oif, this is the nefesh habayis, the most edel one, the chokhmah, your intellect. And when the intellect flying to some wrong places over there, miyad nisraf, he used the koach emunah. It's similar to what the Yad Yosef brings over there. How he resolved all this fakis, how he, and Takas Sophic is Gematria Amalek. It cools you off, gives you some wrong ideas, maybe this right, maybe that other thing is wrong. It gives you wrong ideas. So it says, Kol Oif Parech Miyad Nisraf, when you apply the koach emunah, like a sukkah, you're sitting under the sukkah, you have an authority over you. You know where the limits are. You know something I can understand. Like it's something I don't know. It's above me. That's the inyan of emunah. That's the inyan of the yarmulke. That's the inyan of schach of the sukkah, tzila the memunusa, and that was the greatness of Yonasan ben Uziel. With all his big achievements, he knew kol oif haperech. If any chachma over there flying somewhere, miyad nizar, he burned with this koach emunah. There is something. All of them share one thing that's in common with all of the talmidim. That's inyan of Abdus, Obed Hashem. They were all Obed Hashem. No matter how great you are, there's some things I'm limited, and that's the highest koyach. The koyach emunah is above even the oif, above even that bird, the chokhmah bin avinah that flies up very high. It's something you know your limits. So that's what we're learning from Yonasan. His holiness was, and that's like I said, with that they all share with that you have to have with all this greatest koiches they had, all this great talmidim with the ruim shtishar alam shchina kamosh rabbeinu, ruim shtamad alam hashemesh ki Yeshua ben Nun, and the beinanim and the smallest one, they all had one thing in common. They had that in of avdus over Hashem, that above all the chachmas, the tzila the memunusa. Okay.